Our universe is full of stories. Many of them are big, sweeping epics involving key characters, galactically consequential outcomes, and debates of philosophy and paracausality. But some stories are quite small, involving few people, having little to no consequence, but like the soft tones of a broken melody, are still no less important. Today we take a moment to look at one of these stories, to investigate the crash site on Nessus Terrae. Welcome back to another Vanguard Report. Kaz PhD here. Today I want to take a moment and tell a smaller story. We've been so busy following the events of Hawkmoon and the Presage and the growing unrest from the Cabal this season, but today I wanted to broadcast something smaller, for posterity, to remember, and to reflect. If your regular sweeping patrols includes clearing out lost sectors, you may have noticed some changing activity these past few seasons. Enemy tactics have begun rotating in lost sectors with increased champion activity and the discovery of new technology therein. We still don't know why, but our enemies are growing in strength, and some are getting smart enough to assemble unpredictably, in splinter cells. After clearing out one of these sectors for myself, I came across a Cabal armor piece that had an unusually high level of electrical conductivity. I'm still running tests, but it seems like this chest piece could be capable of storing an immense amount of arc energy. I also found a beacon, or transponder of sorts. It transmitted a set of coordinates, again and again, to a place on Nessus. Punching the coordinates in, my ghost and I set off. When we arrived, we noticed two things right away. Number one, the coordinates were pointing to a Cabal frigate which had crashed not long ago. And two, we were not alone. Transmatting in from different sides of the valley were a hunter and a warlock. We spoke, exchanged pleasantries and jokes, and then revealed that each had found armor in legendary lost sectors, pointing to this location. It took some sorting out, but we were finally able to piece the whole thing together. The exotic armor tells the story of Panesh, a Lightbearer, and Vargessus, a Cabal warrior, both trapped under the frigate after the crash. With nowhere to go and no ability to fight each other, the two began talking with one another. They debated who was stronger, who was braver, and which was better, the Traveler or the Cabal Empire. From the Mantle of Battle Harmony. Crash Site, Nessus Terrae, Day 2. Vargessus was interrupted by a metallic twang from somewhere far above them. For a moment, the steady dripping of foul, brackish water in the corner of Panesh's cell became a weak stream. He pushed his empty helmet beneath the flow. "The light gives us the freedom to accomplish great things," Panesh said. He laid one of his metal greaves flat on the ground and carefully poured half of the water into it. "The best of us can be strong just by holding that power inside of us. We don't have to let it out." Panesh slid the makeshift trough under the lowest beam and into the corridor. There was a quiet moment as the two survivors drank. And later, Panesh chuckled, and his stomach cramped in protest. He drew his knees up to his body. "Right now, I'd fight the Empress herself for something to eat," he groaned. There was a rustling near the collapsed beams. Panesh looked up as a thick finger pushed a chunk of fatty meat ration through a gap in the metal. "There, eat," said Vargessus. "I want you strong when I kill you." The two remained trapped for days, and over time, their posturing turned to banter. From the Cuirass of the Falling Star. Crash Site, Nessus Terrae, Day 4. "Hey," Panesh called. "How about you keep some tactical distance yourself? You smell like a hot barnyard." "And you smell also like a bloodless child. Sour." There was a loud electrical pop overhead, and Panesh raised his hands against a shower of blinding sparks. "Panesh!" shouted Vargessus. "I'm fine," he said. "Just another system shorting out." The Cabal grunted in response. Panesh heard her settle back against the wall. "Unripe," she added. "You're ripe enough for both of us," he said. But neither of them moved. They were finally found on the 5th day. Another guardian, sweeping the fringes of Nessus, looking for loot, avoiding Cabal search parties, and made the following report. From the Omnioculus armor piece. Crash site. Nessus Terrae. Day 5. Finally found the frigate. Think it spread itself across half a gully, out of eyesight for most recon teams. Of course, my eyes are better than most. Figured the cargo should have survived a low atmo crash like that intact. Found 2 big crates of Cabal gold. Some statues, plates, gongs, that kind of thing. Transmatted the valuables out of there and left the rest for the rain. Started feeling pretty good when something startled the hell out of me. A voice. Weak and quiet. The kind of quiet you get toward the very end. Cracked into the wreckage and found a big Cabal warrior pinned in a hallway. Dropped it with no issue. Found a Lightbearer prisoner stuck the next room over. Banged up, dehydrated, but alive. Lightbearer seemed traumatized, but it was nothing personal. Gun butt to the temple quieted him right down. Tossed him on the back of my Sparrow and dropped him off at a recon station before he woke up. Outpost wasn't expecting survivors, so they needed their arms twisted before they'd pay up. It's a thankless job, but that's alright. Thanks don't pay my debts. So, a Guardian and a Cabal warrior were trapped under a crashed frigate on Nessus for days. Starving, thirsty, exhausted, the 2 soldiers went from mortal enemies to, well, comrades, at least. They shared rations, they showed concern for each other. Some of you may find it hard to believe that the Cabal could even have friends, or that a Guardian could make friends with the enemy. But is it really that hard to believe? We've all been on the battlefield. We've all been tired, frustrated, angry, chasing down loot or glory or defending our homes. If there's one thing I've learned about people, of all kinds, is that you should never underestimate their capacity for cruelty or kindness. Have you ever watched an enemy fall off a cliff and felt even the tiniest bit of pity? Have you ever seen one enemy shoot another and feel a momentary lapse of solidarity? There are countless stories over our history of enemies becoming allies, especially on the battlefield, especially through shared trauma. This is no different. This is, frankly, normal. And sadly, so too is the conclusion of this story. A Guardian coming in hot, shooting first, grabbing the loot, and getting out. I don't blame them. We live in a tough universe, and with everything we've been through, hesitation is often the last thing we need. But the song is changing. Stories like the crash in Nessus Terrae point to a growing problem and opportunity for all of us in the Sol system. The fighting has been going on forever. It takes a toll on our people, our resources, our very spirit and soul. I'm not saying we should lay down our defenses, not at all. But look at how the Cabal and Vanguard are handling this latest conflict. Not through all-out war, but measured, almost respectful battle. These are strange times we live in, but I think stories like these are worth considering, even for a moment. While not directly consequential and not really connected to any grand orchestration of our destiny, each story, no matter how small, how isolated, contributes to our experience. So, the next time you find yourself fighting, don't hesitate, but do consider, what are you fighting for? Is this conflict important? Or can you avoid it and fight an even more important one? That wraps up this broadcast on Nessus Terrae. I hope you found it interesting and informative. I'm currently en route to the Dreaming City, there to investigate portals into the Ascendant Realm, as I hear activity has begun stirring up once more. I really need to visit Amanda Holiday and get my ship checked out. It's fairly new, but I've probably put in more flight hours than I should. Still, there are a lot of stories that need telling right now. On a personal note, I see that our most recent broadcast on the Presage Dead Man's Tale quest was listened to by thousands of Guardians, and that our numbers have grown to over 1,000 subscribers. More than 1,000 Guardians tuned in to our frequency. If you haven't yet, be sure to set your ghost to subscribe for more content. And for all those who tune in, now, in the past, and in the future, I thank you. Seeing this community grow and reading all your comments and exchanges in the VanNet have really fueled my passion for telling these stories of our destiny. So here's to more, together. Guardians, as always, feel free to leave your thoughts and comments down below. With so many things happening, it's hard to say what our next topic will be, but you'll know soon. Until then, I ask that you be safe, be kind, and I'll see you all next time. Bye now.